technical description, but I will say that it is an institution that hosts Uganda's heritage or a country's heritage.
Yes.
And so this is the only institution. Of course, I do not want to give a connotation that a museum is a building, because it is composed of different things.
Yes.
And so the institutions, these institutions, because now I'll talk about different museums, mainly they are institutions that host both tangible and intangible heritage. And for the context of our national museums, we have the heritage spanning from 19 million years to present.
Okay.
So when I talk about 19 million years, these are fossils, and these are things that we find when we dig.
Yes.
And probably we get to know the age through carbon dating. And then we have, starting from 19, like that one, we have 19 million years, what we call the Ugandapithecus, which we got from Moroto, from Napak. And we have other hominins, those other ones, and that is where we start studying about like climate change, environment and landscapes.
Yes.
And so all this you can find in museums. And so the history in museums is kind of dynamic. And that's why we say in culture heritage that we conserve both nature and culture. Because the nature, we conserve the plants, we conserve, the animal species.
Yes.
The only thing that for us, we keep the data of those that have gone extinct, so that we can get to know them, those that were there. For right now, we can know that in Moroto, once there was a forest where even gorillas, hippos lived, but today it's not there. So such information, you can find it in the museum. Museums are also spaces for social cohesion.
Yeah.
Where people can come and interact and, discuss, different ideas. And so you find that these are spaces whereby you get knowledge. You can, you can acquire knowledge from museums. Of course, we have researchers. And in the community context, we normally say that museums in the community museums are museums that have the heritage for a particular community. And so this can be either ethnographic. Ethnographic is usually the social life, where we talk about anthropology, the social, the things you have in your houses daily.
Yes.
That is the ethnographic. And so we have even now when we come to other terms, we can have history museums, we can have, war memorial museum, that the Ministry of Defense wants to start a war memorial museum in Katonga. So we can have a site museum like the one we want to have in Mugaba Palace. We are going to we are already putting, trying to install exhibitions at Mugaba Palace. We shall open this in August. And so they are basically, the description depends on what type of museums are you having. But for the national, we usually have everything for the whole nation. But now what we have for example, Soroti, Kabade, where we are going, so that those are regional. We talk about the history of that region. Yes. Okay.
So just to give us a clearer picture of this, what are some of the museums and monuments that we have in the country?
So the museums and monuments that we have in the country, we have different, like I've mentioned, we have museums. One, the famous one of Kira Road, which we all know. Then we have one in Soroti, we have one in Kabade. We are constructing one in Moroto. And then we plan to construct one in Soroti and in Arua, because we are talking about regional balancing and, diversifying, making sure that we have these tourism points in most of the regions of the country. And so in terms of sites and monuments, of course, you are aware, or you might be aware, that we have gazetted 309 historical sites of significant value to Uganda. Why do we say, or why did cabinet, or why did the lawmakers decide to call them significant value to Uganda? Because they are priceless, they are irreplaceable, and we must conserve them for future generations. So these ones, I can start with the nearest. Of course, we have our City Square.
Yes.
It's a heritage site. We have our Independence Monument.
Yes.
It's a heritage site. We have, if I can only talk about Kampala, we have the Kabaka's Lake.
Oh, yeah.
But even if I talk about the private museums, we have I think there is a museum in Mengo. We have Semagulu Museum, and of course we have Kasubi.
Oh, yes.
Which is our World Heritage Site.
Yes.
And I would wish every Ugandan to visit
go there.
Kasubi tombs. And so if I go to the eastern region, we have Nyero rock paintings. We have Dore Island. Dore Island is one of the unique spaces which we have that hosts over 100 rock gongs.
Wow.
Rock gongs are these ones. They are rocks which sound like music. We have those ones in Africa. Uganda has the largest concentration of rock gongs. And so those are some of the sites, Nyero, Kapil, Dore, Mukongoro. Those are some of the sites that we know that span from 5,000 to present, which have been used since 5,000 years before present.
Yes.
And they have also the rock paintings. And so these rock paintings, if you know our national or our museums and monuments logo, it has a logo of Nyero 3. And so these spaces, of course, we are lucky that Ministry of Education agreed the National Council, the curriculum, they agreed to put some of these things in the primary and the secondary level. And so we know now they can go and visit. And so we have as many, we have, of course, Napak. Napak is a geosite, and that one in 2023 we nominated it on the International Geological Union because it's one of the 100 geological sites that are recognized worldwide. Wow. And so basically Uganda is rich. We have in the whole country, we have only gazetted 309, but it doesn't mean that we have only that. We are coming up with a second schedule, which will still have about 300 sites. But we are looking at those ones whereby we can either use for research, specifically for learners and educators, those ones that can be used for tourism purposes, and also for enjoyment. For increasing, we know we need the domestic tourists also to visit their nearby sites. And so that's why, even if not nearby, also crossing to the other regions. But that's why we are focusing in NDP4, we are so focusing as ministry or as the sector at diversification of these tourism products and focusing on heritage. And so even if I talk right now, the Ministry of Finance gave us money, additional funding, whereby we are going to work on equator points. I know you have seen our equator at Chikorongo, and so we are going to further beautify Chikorongo and also come to Kayabwe. So right now we are negotiating on land, and so in the next 5 years, at least we should see Kayabwe different from what we are seeing today. And so basically that is just a small brief that I can give you.
Since you're talking about tourism, I'd just like to know what impact has this, the monuments and the museums had in our tourism industry. How can you say it has maybe benefited us when it comes to tourism?
Of course, cultural heritage, when it comes to tourism, we know that tourism is a low-hanging fruit. But previously, we have not had the attention on cultural heritage. But today, because we see that the only way to keep the tourists longer, the only way to come from the 8 days to 9 days, because I think currently we are at 8.9 days stay per tourist. What our statistical abstract has is that at least a tourist in Uganda stays for about 8.7 days. And so for us to have that increase, it is the culture heritage diversification and widening the product range.
Yes.
And so for culture heritage, this is one place that, we have those who come for, for belief, who want to for faith.
Yes.
Like Namugongo. And so you find that now, like Namugongo, there has been an increment from like 1 million to 3 million.
Yes.
That was the estimate of last year. And so you see that there is that contribution, of course, in revenue, the revenue from only Uganda Museum. By the time we closed the museum, had increased from 180 million to 350 million.
Yes.
And so you find that, now we get the money from, and now the fact that we have different private players that have come to invest in museums and heritage, it shows that there is a significant impact that heritage is creating towards tourism. And so, for example, now you'll see that we have a private museum of Kakungulu in Mbale, which is focusing on the history of Kakungulu. And so not only the learners go there, but also some tourists who want to know about the history of Uganda have been visiting that site. And so this is also increasing on jobs, because the more sites we are developing, the more jobs, because on tourism we don't only focus on revenue or the tourist numbers that have come, but also the jobs that we have created. For my department alone, we have come from about 70. We are projecting to reach about 200 staff.
Wow.
So of course that is partly government is also creating these jobs, and of course for us to be more effective, we need more people to work with. Yeah.
Okay. So what are some of the programs that you have done to promote tourism, rather to promote the monuments and the museums in the country? I understand there are some exhibitions that have been happening the past few days, from the 16th. So if you could just give us a few details about that.
I will tell you, it's not only the first few days.
Okay.
But I want to thank the government of Uganda for the past years. I would say since I became a commissioner, we have a rig van. This is a big van that we use to move for outreaches to schools, to communities, talking about museums and heritage conservation. And so from this, that's where we see also the increment in numbers. And also, of course, we are targeting those learners that especially those who cannot have money to come to museums, and so we are taking this to them. And thanks to the project and World Bank and CEDEP enterprise, that is the competitiveness enterprise development that is at PSFU, that where we bought this rig van, they gave us the rig van. But also we have consistently done different exhibition in different places. That's why we are partnering with different players. Of course, now we partnered with the ICOM International. They have a Uganda chapter to do that that fair that was at Emini Pasha. And so it brought different, museums and, private sector to put up something that was very beautiful. So that is creation of awareness. And also we are using this International Museums Day platform to create awareness. This began in 2023. And so we have seen a big change since we started in 2022 to move out of Kampala. We are seeing that it has created, many people have come up to develop museums. Many people are approaching us on conservation of sites. And schools, the little time we have closed the museum, all schools are suffering. And even some of the tour operators, of course, they are suffering. But what are we doing towards that? We are now developing, still under CEDEP, World Bank and GOU, of course. We are developing, we are digitalizing our systems and having, digital objects, which we are going to now start displaying online.
Oh, okay.
How will this help us? We are going to attract still tourists. We are both foreign and local, and we are going to attract more researchers. So for this IMD, or International Museums Day, of course, we started activities on 15th of April. We've had a conference. We had a conference at Africana that brought still different players, stakeholders, to discuss about heritage, both tangible and intangible. When I talk about intangible, these are, the software of heritage. And we saw how the digital era, or the AI era, is now coming to stay. We had the former principal judge, James Ogola, who unpacked, what we call culture, and brought in, different paradigms, how a paradigm shift from where we came from to where we are and where we are going. A time where we didn't have anything like technology to a pre-technology, and now fully immersed in technology. And also argued us to start he called them the 3 R's: writing, reading, something that we used not to do, which we must do for us to survive in this technological era. And so in the rapid changing environment that we are in, because rapidly everything is changing with climate change. And we normally say that when climate change is in, you must adapt. So we have to adapt. And so this is why we are coming out to tell the public, or to tell the Ugandans, that as we adapt, let's not lose our values. Let's remain focused. Let's not lose our heritage, but let's adapt by, reshaping and having a better future.
Now, Ms. Jackline, as we wrap this up briefly, what is the ministry doing? What efforts is it putting up to see that even our monuments are not being destroyed? Because we see that there are some people who might not know the significant role of this cultural heritage in the country. So what has the ministry put up to see that they are protected? Okay,
thank you very much. This is not only ministry, but the policymakers. We have now a law that was signed by His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Uganda, and this was signed in 2023 April and commenced in 2023 June. And so we have been developing regulations, and we have had stakeholders. We are engaging communities. Now we are going to start, also creating awareness on the regulations. Probably you'll host me again discussing the regulations about monuments to make sure that they are not destroyed. But also we are going ahead by titling some of the sites. We are collaborating with the culture institutions to title like some sites within the culture institutions. For example, Bunyoro, we are planning to title about 20 sites. From Bunyoro, we are titling more in Gulu, in the whole country. So we are now trying to title so that we have them protected. Those which were titled a long time ago, we are trying to open boundaries. We are trying to, usually we normally say that we are not supposed to delineate heritage from the owners or from the communities by putting barriers, fences, because the communities are supposed to interact with this heritage. But because of the rapid changing environment, now we are introducing some of them. We are introducing, of course, fencing and other things. So I just need to say, even like the place we are going to, where we shall be in Kabade on 18th May, I would want, of course, to invite the public. The public, the general public, and those in Kabade, in the Kigezi region, not to miss attending the International Museums Day on 18th May at Kabale Stadium. We are expecting His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Uganda, to be our chief guest. And also we have too many in store. This is the time people are going also to see our small regional museum in Kabade, because it will be opened. But the night before, we are going to have a culture or a culture fire getting to know, you remember those, fires that those days that where people used to, talk about values, norms. And so on 17th evening, we shall be at Kabale Museum on Rwakaraba Road, discussing with old people, our grandparents. They will be telling us about the values. But one thing that is special on that evening is that one lady who was once put at the banishment island because she had become pregnant is going to give a live testimony.
Okay.
And so that is going to be beautiful. And that is how we want to document all these stories so that we can fully, create awareness. Of course, we know it is no longer happening, but we need to know what was there in the past, what is there in what we have now, and how we can shape our future.
Okay, thank you, Miss Jackline Nyiracyiza Besigye, the Acting Commissioner of Museums and Monuments. And of course, you have been called upon to attend the International Museum Day that will be happening in Kabale. So if you're in Kabale, make sure that you do attend that event. And if you're not in Kabale, but you have the means and you have the time, then definitely please do take the time to be able to attend this day. But right now, it's time for me to say goodbye. We have come to the end of Good Morning Family, but do stay tuned because we are having Word of Life coming right up next with Rita Nandera. Have a good day.